8:05, we will reconvene the Select Board's meeting of May 14th, 2024, after our executive session. Note this meeting is being televised, streamed, or recorded by Bourne TV. If anyone in the audience is recording or videotaping, they need to acknowledge it at this time. Michael Roche. Anyone else? Use of flash photography during Select Board meetings is prohibited. If anyone from the public wishes to access the meeting, they can do so by calling the following conference line, 1-929-205-6099. The Zoom meeting ID is 869-5775-5505, and the password is all uppercase, Bourne, B-O-U-R-N-E. The Zoom chat will not be monitored. Participants who wish to speak must raise the hand icon until the chair asks them to unmute. All items within the meeting agenda are subject to deliberation and votes. Moment of silence to recognize our troops and public safety personnel. I salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Reading of the Select Board vision and mission statements.
I'll take both of those this evening. If you don't
Okay.
mind. Vision. Bourne is a proud community that embraces change while respecting the rich heritage of the town and its villages. It is a municipality based on strong fiscal government with a durable economy that recognizes the rights of all citizens, respects the environment, especially the coastal areas of the community, and the amenities that it affords. Bourne embraces excellent education and offers to citizens a healthy, active lifestyle. Mission. Bourne will maximize opportunities for social and economic development while retaining an attractive, sustainable, and secure coastline and environment for the enjoyment of residents and visitors. Through responsible and professional leadership and in partnership with others, Bourne will strive to improve the quality of life for all residents living and working in the larger community.
Thank you. Report out on executive session. Select Board had an executive session tonight, and we did vote to approve a release and settlement agreement for the 34 Diandy Road tax title property. We also voted to release some executive session minutes for disclosure. Community shout out and recognition. So a couple things to do tonight for recognition. We're going to start with our Select Board member, Jared McDonald. Thanking Jared for his 6 years as a Select Board member and also for his years of service as a police officer in the town of Bourne. So
Thank you.
thank you very much for your service. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Another recognition is for Don Udy, who is not running for re-election and will be serving his last Board of Health meeting this Thursday after 15 years of service on the Board of Health. I would like to thank the Sheriff's Department for helping the Girl Scout troop print the flyers and the emergency forms that they developed as part of their project. And it was really great that the Sheriff's Department was here when they made their presentation on the project and they were able to connect, and that was really great. And also I'd like to congratulate the 8th graders at Bourne Middle School for their civics project showcase today. It was really awesome. So that's it. All right. Next, public comments on non-agenda items. Is there anyone signed up for public comment on non-agenda items? Seeing none, I will skip the explanation. Next is discussion with the Cape Cod Commission regarding the draft digital equity plan. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Stephen Tupper, Deputy Director at the Cape Cod Commission. So very pleased to be here today to talk through the draft Bourne Digital Equity Plan and review public comments that were received for that document. So I'd like to start off with a little bit of context. First, just highlighting the fact that while it's a digital equity plan, it's really been an opportunity to have conversation with a lot of great individuals throughout the town. I should say individuals in committee throughout the town who really care about this topic. So it's really been exciting to learn about all of the good things going in Bourne and to highlight some opportunities to address some of the challenges in the community. So I just wanted to first thank everyone who's participated in this process so far. It's really been great to learn, and hopefully you can reflect on some of the learnings in this document here. I also wanted to be clear about the goal for tonight. So I will be reviewing in high level the draft plan. I know it's been out on the website for some time, and also be going over the draft comments. Included in the meeting packet today is a detailed listing of all the comments, so I'll be going through that. And my hope is at the end of the meeting to get some direction from the board to potentially make edits to the document based on those comments. There is still plenty of time for the board and the town as a whole to finalize the document and move towards implementation, so we don't need to make those decisions. I should say the town doesn't need to make those decisions today, but it's really this is the opportunity to review the plan and reflect on the thoughtful comments that have been received to date. So why are we here today? So certainly understand broadly we're trying to tackle some digital equity challenges, but I also know it's because there's funding out there. Both at the regional level, and the town is really good at going after funding when it's available. So this is more specifically the purpose, one of the purposes of this plan. At the federal level, it was identified that digital inequity was a barrier to accessing everyday life during the pandemic. So not a good amount of funding was made available to tackle this challenge. Within the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, most of that funding flows through the Massachusetts Broadband Institute, MBI as I'll be calling it. So most of the programs that I'll highlight today come through MBI, including the funding to do this digital equity plan. At the commission, we identified that this was a challenge in many of the communities, so we signed up to be one of the planning consultants to do this planning work. That way the towns on the Cape had the choice to choose the commission if they liked for this planning activity, or other consultants that were qualified as well. I've been very pleased to work with the town of Bourne and other Cape communities on this. It's been great to learn about some of the shared challenges and also some of the unique challenges in each of our communities. And so certainly going through this planning process will avail the town of future funding opportunities that we'll touch on a little bit later in this as well. I also want to provide a little more context. So Bourne gets some kudos for being the first town on the Cape to move into this process. So you're leading in terms of the Cape communities with this process. You are followed closely behind by the town of Sandwich and Orleans, and we bring 2 other towns on board shortly as well. And it's been a great learning opportunity between towns to see some of the unique solutions that are being brought forward, and specifically look for opportunities to tackle some of them regionally. We certainly know some of the things are within the wheelhouse of the town of Bourne to tackle. Some of them are bigger in scale, and regional solutions can make sense for a lot of these things. So to that effect, in the middle of the slide here, I wanted to highlight that we've been specifically bringing together communities that have been working on this. Marlene and other town staff participated in a sharing exercise with Bourne, Sandwich, and Orleans to understand the solutions being developed in each of those towns. And there's also, we are going to be hosting with MBI a regional session of digital equity practitioners coming up on May 16th, including, I know, representation from some on the board, so thank you for those who have RSVP'd as well as the town administrator. And that'll be an opportunity to really dig into the details of how we're going to craft some of these potential regional solutions to the problem. So bringing that together and trying to identify that. Also wanted to add some additional context. Outside of this specific project, the Cape Cod Commission is leading a regional broadband needs assessment. So that's a more technical analysis, looking at some of the broadband, both fixed and mobile, challenges within our community. Anticipating to release that next month. But that's provided a lot of context for this work, certainly understanding a number of the challenges that we're hearing about in Bourne have to do with service provision and competition, and those issues we've more specifically dealt with in the regional broadband needs assessment. And then finally, I wanted to highlight again the role of the state in this. So we've been in close contact with MBI throughout the process, shared the draft document with them, which they were pleased with, some minor edits there, because ultimately they have to approve the final document before funding gets released. So we've been keeping them closely apprised. And also been following some parallel activities that are happening at the state level. You know, there's been a lot of discussion locally here with some of the committees about a BEAD challenge process. That's a process where towns can potentially challenge some of the ways that the FCC is describing connectivity in the community. That is touched on here because of connectivity, but it's also important to note that a lot of this information is coming out as we speak. In fact, MBI sent out an email this afternoon with details on the BEAD process and a timeline on the BEAD process. So I'll be discussing this more in detail later, but we tried to put in whatever we knew about in this draft plan, but that's continuing to evolve, so we can only identify what we knew at the time. We're also keeping a close eye on other opportunities that MBI is putting out. Some of the things, like digital navigation, we expect there's going to be some programs from MBI specifically for those. So we're working with the towns to make sure that there's a strategic effort to go after whatever funding sources are available. So that provides a little bit of context in terms of what's going on regionally and at the state level.
Did
On
it
the
stop
Next
working?
slide. I can keep talking if you'd like. So the next thing I will cover when we get to that is just making sure that we're all on the same page in terms of the definition of digital equity. And there we go. So some of this content was presented at the workshop. I just want to hit a couple of high points. And of course, this is all in the draft plan. But much of what we're describing tonight will be bundled into 3 categories: internet connectivity, devices, and digital literacy. These are the general categories identified at the national level for identifying some of the challenges with digital equity. So I'll walk through what specifically we saw in Bourne in each of these areas. I wanted to highlight a little bit the purpose of the plan. So certainly we want to define the landscape of digital equity, and we want to make sure that we're ready for funding opportunities. I do want to be clear that this sets up for funding opportunities, but doesn't dictate what the town does next. So you'll see a whole list of potential implementation strategies, and that's really to make sure that those are all qualified for funding if you go for state funding, but it's not going to tell you I want to go to this, this, or this. That's a town function and a town decision. Certainly one that we're happy to support, and we're in fact scoped to support the town, but that doesn't need to be decided in the plan. The plan should really describe what are the challenges and potential solutions, and then the town can prioritize on what they would like after the conclusion of this plan. Wanted to highlight the roles to make sure it was clear. Our role, to put simply, is facilitation. So we organize, we host meetings, together the draft plans, but ultimately this is a town plan, so it's up to the town to be comfortable with everything in it, and up for the town to decide what the implementation and next steps are. It was also really important to get community feedback, both from individual members of the committees working in these areas, and I'll discuss some of the details later, but that took a variety of forms throughout this process, including some individual conversations with a number of people on the board, so thank you for that. In terms of timeline, we're getting pretty close to the end of it, which would be great in terms of going after funding at the next step. But we did start this back in 2023 with some of the initial data and engagement, so I'll cover in detail. A number of you attended the community workshop, so that was a great touch point to start to pull together some of the things we've been hearing. We did work with town administration to develop this draft plan, which was then put out for public comment. So then we're over on the right side here. We're going to be finalizing that plan in May into the next few months, and then moving forward with implementation funding, which I know the town administrator has already briefed you on, has already been reserved by her actions, so that the town can take advantage of that. So it's sitting there waiting for you to decide some of the priorities on that. This came up a couple times in the comments, so I did want to highlight the fact that there was a very broad community engagement strategy here. So some folks may have attended the workshop, and there was a number of people there, but a lot of the feedback came from the really broad outreach that was done in terms of pop-ups, where we just set up a table and just have informal conversations. There was a number of individual stakeholder conversations. I got a couple members of the staff here, Helene Goudreau and David Still had a number of those conversations. Again, some folks on the board here, so thank you for that, to make sure that we were reaching different communities that may not come out to the workshop. We know not everybody wants to come out to a workshop to talk about this. We wanted to make sure that we use different ways to do that. So we did get feedback from over 140 individuals through this. There was a survey of close to 100 residents as well. So we started to pull all those things together in addition to the workshop. So what are some of the high points of the plan? Organized, as shown on the screen here. I won't spend much time on the top 3 categories. That really just kind of lays out the context and documents a lot of what was done in the community process. But I want to focus in on those key findings and recommendations. Those summarize what we saw and what we could see as potential solutions going forward. So I'll walk through those in a little more detail, and certainly have plenty of time for comments and questions. So I'll start with strengths. There's certainly a lot that we found that was strong within the town of Bourne, a lot of places that you can certainly build on going forward. So through the process, we had a number of individuals and organizations identified, and there's really a lot of good, strong community knowledge and certainly leadership. In fact, having a committee tasked with working on this is fairly unique in terms of the towns we work on, so that was great to have. We also heard there's a lot of great public Wi-Fi, although areas to improve there. In general, good device availability. There are a number of different service models and programs already in operation that could certainly be expanded. And there's good organization and advocates working for covered populations where we weren't able to talk to everyone in the community. There's a lot of community representatives that were able to share some of the concerns that they're seeing. And also already some existing partnerships that can be built on beyond the town of Bourne borders as well. But there were challenges. People had no problem telling us some of the challenges they were having. And certainly the one we heard most about was connectivity challenges with internet service. And we were keenly aware that some of that spotty service is definitely village-based, where the place that you are residing in Bourne very much decides what sort of internet service you get. And that is certainly a key tenet of inequity, and one that we're seeing acutely true in the town of Bourne. Lack of competition is probably the thing that most folks came and talked to us about, the fact that they can, for most portions of Bourne, although you have a unique portion here in Buzzards Bay, have only one choice to go to for broadband service, and that we know ends up in higher prices and really not a lot of encouragement for investment. So that's a challenge we see in Bourne, and frankly even more so in the other 14 Cape towns. There were some issues with devices. Generally, people that we talked to are fairly comfortable, but there are some issues where people might not have the device that's appropriate for the need that they have. Digital literacy and skills is something that came up with a lot. Certainly, we know this landscape evolves quickly. During the pandemic, people had to learn to do a lot of things online that they weren't accustomed to, and we saw a lot of challenges during that, and a lot of the services have remained online, so certainly we talked with a number of individuals that still had challenges getting things like healthcare online, and certainly challenges and concerns with safety and security. I know that's something that there's already a good amount of effort to address, but something that certainly came through in the community conversations. And then finally, we added a category here, a fourth one of community, because we felt like that really represented some of the things we were hearing, and it was important to making sure some of the solutions are really implemented and ingrained in some of the community things that are already going on to make sure they hit some of the specific populations in Bourne. So from all of those key findings, we really pulled it all together to come up with some recommendations. I'll say all of the recommendations, this was our first plan, so it was all written specifically for Bourne, so it took a little bit of time to do that. We were able to draw on some models for some example solutions, but certainly everything was based on what we heard within the town of Bourne. It was crafted for Bourne specifically. We will acknowledge and did highlight some areas where there's going to be a need for coordination beyond the town boundaries to be successful. We did highlight places where additional staffing capacity and funding would be required. We heard across different departments here, and we've heard in other towns that's a challenge for a number of reasons. So we also highlighted where there may be funding opportunities to address those constraints. And I highlighted this earlier as well, but we are on board to support as the town moves towards implementation. So at the high level, highlight some of the recommendations included in the plan. On the right-hand side, you can see a clip of the table that's in the plan. So for each of these recommendations, we highlighted specifically who within the town could move that forward and what were the known funding opportunities to assist in moving to that next step. But at a high level, to hit some of the recommendations in terms of connectivity, certainly continuing to advocate for improved service, simply making it clear that there are challenges and that not everyone's satisfied with the service they have is an important role to continue playing, and identifying where there's opportunities to encourage competition. Certainly, again, that's something that Bourne is leading on, but there's opportunities across the Cape to do that. Promoting public Wi-Fi availability continues to be important. There's some specific things within devices that could be done. We identified some specific programs that could be expanded, and particularly we heard some need for some hotspot lending. Those are where devices that somebody rents at a library or council on aging, for example, can bring home to deal with a short-term internet need. That's something that we've seen in other communities as well. There's a good number of strategies identified within skills and literacy and community. I won't go through them each in detail here, but certainly opportunities to improve education around this, whether it be in a group setting or certainly a need for some one-on-one support. That's been something we heard at many of the sessions. That's really that one-on-one, I've got a new iPhone and I don't know how to use it and I need someone to help me. That's certainly a need within the community. And there's organizations that have the capability to deliver that. Also wanted to highlight here that a digital navigator is someone who would do that, and that's something we heard in all of our communities, and we expect there's going to be some funding coming through specifically for that in the near future. And then on the community side, we just want to highlight some things that are a little bigger picture there in terms of looking at the different geographic challenges and making sure that to center digital equity in municipal and community-based communications. I know that town is really good at making sure they put things out in different ways, but understanding the digital format doesn't mean the same for everyone, continuing to make sure that's a focus there as well. So that's in broad strokes some of the highlights I wanted to cover with the plan. The other half of today was really to go over some of the comments. So I'd like to kind of run through them in brief, and then certainly happy to discuss any of them in more detail. So this first slide just categorizes the type of comments that we have, and then I'll go through the comments individually. So we found a category of comments that were really well thought out and we thought really deserved an edit within the plan. Just looking technically at it, there are some things that could be updated and improved, so we would certainly be comfortable moving forward with those things. There are a category of comments that really address specifically what are the next steps for implementation and how is the BEAD challenge process going to roll out. Those are certainly reasonable questions, and we can make some updates to the document, but some of that really goes beyond the scope of the plan. And there are a number of things that point into regional needs, so I touched on some of those as well and highlight potential opportunities for public comment. I do have a few slides to walk through the comments. Again, on the right side of the screen is the image of the comment matrix that was included in the select board packet. So I'll be walking through that and using the numbering scheme in there for ease of following. We did want to give some time to talk about some of the specific comments we heard. So first was from a resident in Bourne, generally concerned with any government involvement in this area. Noted that comment. Also received a comment from Comcast identifying the suite of services they provide across Barnstable County and highlighting some of the investments they're planning in Massachusetts. There's nothing in this comment that contradicted things that we were saying in the document, but certainly noting and wanted to be clear that we did receive that communication from Comcast. The rest of the comments came from a comment letter from the select board. So it's a little interesting to be presenting comments from the select board to the select board, but we certainly understand the role of the committee of CTAC working on this. And there were some thoughtful things in here that we wanted to walk through specifically and identify where we thought there may be some edits to the plan. So where you see something like can incorporate additional maps, that's something we can and are willing to do, and in fact have already drafted it internally, but we wanted to make sure to get the direction from the board here. Also highlighted some other things, for example, our developing is something we're working on in parallel, and a few other notes just for clarification. So there were 12 specific comments we pulled out of here, and those are numbered within the comment matrix, but I'll walk through each of those. So the first generally had to do with adding more detail about the stakeholders, their geography, and what are some of the relevant needs, getting a little more granular in terms of what was presented. There are some data privacy and data availability issues there, so we tried to present everything as granular as possible, but it's just not available or not able to share some of it to say, like, this neighborhood specifically has this issue. That's not something we'd be able to do in the plan. That being said, there were a number of areas where we felt like we could add additional maps to add a little more context to it. So we've developed some additional maps to add to the plan to add a little more detail in terms of the areas that we cover there. The second was a suggestion that the plan should characterize the entire town of Bourne as underserved. This is a big one, so I want to pause to make sure we're clear on this one. So the term underserved is a specific definition by the FCC, and it has to do with specific speeds that are available at that location. So we did identify, based on the data we have, the portion of the residents that were underserved, but based on that definition, we could not broadly say the town of Bourne is underserved. Simply doesn't meet that FCC definition. And then probably more importantly, it wouldn't do anything if the plan said that. So the FCC has their definition of underserved, and there's a way that they distribute funding based on that. So even if the plan said we as Bourne are underserved, it doesn't functionally do anything in terms of funding availability. So we wanted to make sure that it was technically correct. And really the opportunity to address that concern is through the BEAD challenge process, and where you think the FCC is misreflecting what is happening in the town, that's the place to challenge that. So we added some additional information, or can add additional information about the BEAD challenge process, including stuff that came in this afternoon, so we have to make some quick edits there. But we want to make sure that the best information that's available is in the plan. Similarly, there are some questions about coverage maps and whether or not they're accurately reflected experiences on the ground. We did double check all the maps to make sure everything that we had was presented correctly. And while there may be some debate about some of the details in it, they are reflective of the data that's available from the FCC and MBI. But what we would suggest would add some additional context. So these, and in some cases, it's provider-reported data. So the ISP says this is what we provide, so that's what the map shows. We can add some more discussion, suggesting that we understand that in all cases that doesn't reflect what's received, and that there may be individual issues there. So the maps are what the maps are, but we'd be happy to add some additional context there. There's also some additional questions, and this was really tied into some of the earlier ones, about data needs for upcoming grants, and specifically what sort of data would be needed for the BEAD process. That information wasn't available at the time, so we weren't able to include some of the details. We knew the same that the town knew at that point. We do have some additional information now, so we can add what's available based on that new information. There was some discussion about community engagement. I covered that earlier, but just wanted to be clear, it wasn't just the workshop, that there is an entire engagement strategy there. And that was really the way that we collectively got the input from the community. It wasn't just based on that single event. There was another comment related to underserved, and this was in a slightly different context, where we did relay some information from residents sharing that they had unacceptable services and wanted to make sure that we were accurately reflecting what we were hearing. But we do want to be clear that underserved is a very specific term. There was one place where we used underserved kind of as a broad term, saying I don't get good service. We can update that to be clear when we use underserved. It is a technical definition and not to provide any confusion there. Additionally, there was a question about clarification where I talked about the need or potential challenge with staffing capacity and funding issues. That's something we heard consistently, and just wanted to highlight that that's what we had heard and understood, that in those cases additional funding and support would be needed. And this is the last slide of the comments here. So finally, there are some suggestions about more specific data, particularly dealing with speeds going forward. We shared everything that we had available at that time, pulled from multiple sources, and some of that would really be appropriate for next steps and following on. So there's some recommendations to that point, but we did share everything that we had available to us. There was a suggestion, and I thought a really good one, for tying some of specific populations to the specific barriers. And that's something that we've taken back and we're now working on that in terms of identifying the connectivity between that, and we're putting together something that's going to be broadly applicable to a number of towns, so we can certainly work on incorporating that. But for an example, if there's specifically a low-income population, what does that mean about the strategies that would address the needs we heard for that population? We heard it to some degree in this community, but as we've been going town to town, we'll be able to build that database and that information there. Next comment, 11 there, had to do with a strong outline for implementation, and that's really predicated on the town choosing a priority for implementation, so happy to work with that for the next steps. And similarly, there's a request for more information on digital navigators. That's something that's going to be forthcoming, and we'll certainly take that opportunity there. So again, there's a category of comments we're happy to incorporate. We think they technically make sense and will make the document stronger. In terms of BEAD and implementation, we can share what we know, but much of that comes after the plan, and we'll continue to work on the regional strategy. So I wanted to give an overview of all the comments received, and then just highlight that after this, we're certainly happy to update the plan as directed, and then beyond that, it'll be up to the town to consider if they'd like to endorse the final plan. And then there is that step where MBI would have to approve it before funding is distributed. Again, they reviewed the draft plan and were good with the draft plan, but want to review the final, and then the town can move on to the implementation side of things. So I know that was a lot, but wanted to put it all out there, and certainly happy to go through any of the details at the chair's discretion.
Thank you. I just want to say, I spent quite a bit of time this weekend starting to read the report. I'm going to say I didn't get through the whole 200 pages, but there was so much information and so much really good demographic information that I found really educational in terms of understanding a lot of the ways the community works. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Questions from the board?
No, this was very informative.
Hey, Marie?
Sure. Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate you specifically addressing what the select board has brought forth through the work of the SciTech committee and addressing those things. And you have a very good handle on the needs and the areas where we, certainly are struggling with in some of the things with our digital equity planning. But I'm looking forward to Thursday. Capacity is going to be huge, and if we can work on those strategies on a regional level, that will help to reduce that stress of capacity and resources as we decide, what our priority goals are with implementation. So that's going to be a great conversation to have, especially with the Cape Cod Commission and MBI. Because I think that's where we most struggle. I mean, certainly we'd like to adopt everything and implement everything, but there are some constraints that we need to address, and we certainly have to prioritize, so.
Well said, thank you.
But I
Looking forward to
appreciate that.
Thursday as well.
Thank you.
Is there anything else? Okay, so, well, I'm gonna take questions, and questions, comments from the public, and then we'll kind of go to our next steps things. Mr. Dwyer.
Good evening. For the record, Bob Dwyer, the chair of your Cable, Internet, and Telecommunications Advisory Committee. First, I want to thank the Cape Cod Commission team, Steve, Helene, David, and the other folks in the background who did a lot of work and incorporated a lot of the comments that we drafted for the Select Board to submit to you. And thank you very much for that. I apologize. I too was not able to read through the whole thing in time, but okay, to see what changes were made. But one real comment, and this is a lead up to the workshop that you're having in a couple of days here. It'd be very good to get recommendations on prioritization, first of all, a description of exactly which future opportunities, grants, et cetera, the town and the town only has responsibility for, and then your recommendations not only for digital equity but also for other grant opportunities, what those should be in order of priority. One example, one that's come up recently is the, Wendy, correct me if I'm wrong, the Digital Connection Corps. There is a grant opportunity to provide a staff member to the town to assist with that. There's a $35,000 co-payment, but I would guess that given the short amount of time and the fact that they've totally missed the town meeting in all of MBI's planning, that $35,000 could be requested to be waived. That's one example. That's somebody who could help.
It's the American Connection Corps, it's ACC.
Amer-
It's sort of like AmeriCorps or the.
American Connection Corps. Sorry, too much alphabet soup here. We're trying to keep it straight too. But anyway, I think that would be a real roadmap that you could work at both on a town-by-town basis and on a regional basis, et cetera. There is also a grant, there's an RFP open within MBI to hire individuals or to hire firms to help the towns actually do all of this stuff. And I don't know exactly what the status of that is, but certainly Bourne and certainly maybe all of the county through the commission could take advantage of whoever that regional person is. And I presume that regional person is Barnstable County specific or Southeast Mass specific. And just get everything that presumably this knowledgeable person knows and get that individual or that company to do much of this work. The other urgent thing that's coming up is and again, I checked my email and I did not get anything from MBI on the email you got today. If you could kindly forward that to us, or Marlene, I'm sure you got it, if you could forward it to us. To just get some detailed guidance on how to do the challenge process that's coming up in a matter of a few weeks here. The webinars that MBI has given have been highly uninformative, and they said just watch our website and you'll be informed. And we're watching the clock tick right now, not only the calendar days turn. So we do want to have the Select Board have an opportunity to decide whether they want us to go and assist in going forward with a challenge to get one of these BEAD grants. And Wendy, have I missed anything right now in terms of high-level stuff?
There's always the gap grants that.
There are
Gap two.
round 2 of the GAP network program will be announced. Those could be imminent. They have not announced who the winners of the GAP Network 1 were, and that's $22 million out there, in their budget. If you're detecting a note of frustration, I must say that Wendy and I availed ourselves of an opportunity last Friday to express frustration to the Cape Cod Upper Cape legislative delegation about kind of lack of responsiveness and slowness, et cetera, within MBI. Not that we're piling on, because I know a number of other towns have done that, but we got nodding acknowledgement from the legislators, who hopefully have some control over getting to the administration in Boston and influencing the agency up above there. Anyway, that's where at least SciTac is, and again, we congratulate the commission on a really nice job in getting this through, and I hope that serves as a model for some of the other towns. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. So, decisions this evening. So Tupper has said that the commission has some ideas on how they could update the plan to incorporate the comments. Do you need feedback from the select board about priorities before we finalize the plan? Or is there a way for us to hone in on how we set our priorities? Is there a section of the plan that we should specifically be looking at? Or should we have you come back and talk to us about how we prioritize the priorities?
So my suggestion to answer your first question is no. You don't have to decide the priorities now or even in this plan specifically. This really just put together the menu of things that you could pursue in more
Okay.
detail. I think it would be strategic from the town's perspective to wait a little bit in terms of identifying those priorities. I think having some of those regional conversations occur and understand what might happen at the regional level to start to understand some of the details. We know some details have been coming slowly from MBI about the programs, but there are some coming. So I'd hate to see the town to latch on to a specific program to use your allocated dollars, and there's another program that comes out a week later to do the same thing. So they're important needs, so you want to keep this conversation going, but I see no need to prioritize at this point. Could certainly, through the direction of this committee, make those updated plans, share it with administration, and be happy to come back and talk priorities for implementation.
Okay,
Question.
go ahead, Emery.
So what you presented tonight with respects to the comments, those are in the process of being incorporated into the final plan?
If you say go ahead, we can do it. It is not in a document at this point. We have all the pieces to put together. I just wanted to make sure that was the committee's direction before we did so.
I would make that recommendation.
Yes.
So move.
Seconded?
So it's motion to incorporate the recommended comments. Okay. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? I think this is really great, and it's a great beginning, and I do think seeing what's happening on a regional basis is really important, because the partnerships and the things that we are going to be able to do together might be really helpful. So, and I'm also very interested in the broadband needs assessment, which is, I think, what was presented, that whole discussion was what was happening at One Cape last year. Was that the broadband where we had MBI and somebody else that was talking about the broadband needs? Was that associated with that?
There was some discussion of broadband needs, and there was also a precursor to say all of this is coming. So it was a little
Right.
bit of both.
So there's a lot, there's a lot happening, and I did go to that at One Cape. So, but that broadband needs assessment, I think, is just going to add another whole piece to this, and so having both pieces is going to be really helpful. So, yeah. So this is good. Thank you very much. I think the draft report and the work has been really good, and we look forward to having you incorporate those comments and to adopt a final report.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next is consent agenda, which is discussion and possible vote to allow SISU volleyball team to hold a fundraising car wash at Pecasset Fire Station on June 2nd. Discussion and possible vote to allow National MS Society to use town roads for their annual Bike MS event on June 29th and June 30th, as conditioned by departments. And C, to declare surplus 6 broken folding tables at the library. Do you want to hold B to make a change?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to vote items A and C as presented. Is there a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Motion by Jared, second by Anne Marie. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions? That's unanimous. And then Peter, just on the MS, you have something you want to add, right?
Yes, I just want to add a condition that no parking on Taylor's Point from midnight, June 29th to 6 a.m. on June 30th. No parking signs in effect for the whole Taylor's Point. To be added as part of our motion, just to be consistent of what we require for,
And for the
Pam- Pam-
emergency
Pam-
services access that
Yep.
we've had before. Okay. Is that the motion by Peter? Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay, next is licenses and events. Discussion and possible vote to allow Fishing for the Mission 22 to host their annual Black Sea Bass Tournament at Buzzards Bay Park on 6/2/24 as conditioned by departments. Is that Harold? Is that you on Zoom?
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to get away where we just got down, we have a huge division in South Carolina, so we're setting up for bike week, so I'm just trying to get out of it, the riffraff.
Good, thank you.
Good.
Okay. All right, so do we have two things? One is the one-day entertainment license.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And then second is the supplemental packet, which was for the one-day liquor license.
license.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Trying to get away from me, sorry about that.
Okay.
No worries.
We're good, we're good.
We can hear you fine, you're good.
We always like a potty.
Yeah.
It's bike week, so it's bike, we have a big division, so we're down there, we set up our table, we do pretty well, so it's just kind of fundraising, but it's loud on the main street.
That's awesome. Okay, so we're doing the entertainment license first. Is there any questions from the board, any discussion? Is everything in order, Madam Town Administrator?
It is.
Everything is in order.
Motion to approve the one-day entertainment license dated for 6/2/2024 for Fishing for the Mission 22.
Second.
Is there a second? Motion by Peter, second by Anne Marie, as conditioned by departments. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Okay, next is the one-day liquor license in relation to the above event as conditioned by departments. We got that in our packet today. Are there any questions? I think there was some.
Motion to approve the beer and wine license for 6/2/2024 as conditioned by departments.
Yeah, Harold, did you get all the comments from there were several comments, I think, from the police department? Is that who that?
Yes, I believe we satisfied all that, but, they didn't. I think, I believe Mark St. Jean's on and on our Stone Path, so if you do have any additional questions, but we're pretty much gonna mimic it after Canal Day. So we're just gonna kind of tie off that pavilion, so any restrictions or anything that, you need from us, but I think I've satisfied everything now. I think Mark sent in all the safe search and everything, so if there's anything you need from us, we'll get that in a timely fashion for you.
Right, let me just look, because we got a supplemental packet today, and I just want to make sure that, if there's any conditions, I'm sure they'll let you know when they send you the approval, but, yeah, the map looked good, everything looked good, and that we did get all the TRIPS certifications, and,
Right.
Okay, and then one
We're
other
all set.
quick question, because I just been so slammed between the ribbon cutting last week and now on the road for the next 10 days. Did we, all the vendors, we have 3 food vendors, Shore Fire, Waypoint Barbecue, and then Stone Path Minkle Brothers. They are gonna be doing the food for that day. Now, did they send, I know they were all in the process of applying for all their, whatever they had to do to be a vendor, and hopefully they got all that in on time. That's one thing I wanted to check with you all. I can always follow through with them too.
Yeah, that, all those, if they're licensed with the Board of Health, if they're a food truck and they're licensed with the Board of Health, then that shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
You just have to make sure, if you've told us where they're gonna be, where the food trucks are gonna be on the picture.
Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
Stone Path is gonna set up close into the building, because they're just kinda doing something, they don't really need to cook, they're gonna prepare it all, and so
Right.
they'll be there, and then I think we're gonna put the other two, because they're all preparing obviously the food before, we're gonna put them kinda similar, I believe, to where you usually put vendors on Canal Day, so it's on the road, not on the grass.
Right. Yeah, I think we're all set. Everything seems to be all set and approved, so I think that's good.
It is a public event, so tell your family and friends, we got that 80s band's gonna be doing our music, and it's pretty good, so it'll be a good day, we're trying to advocate for suicide awareness, so we hope,
Right.
our signups are very, very good, we're on track right now to hopefully do about 75K for our second annual tournament, so, I don't know what numbers will be, because we've never done this outside, but I think it's gonna be pretty decent, so we'll make sure we follow all the standards that, was imposed in the, all the
Yeah,
different
okay.
departments, so make sure we'll, don't do anything that you guys, wouldn't like, so.
Yeah, sounds great. And I forgot to give a shout out to the ribbon cutting that we went to
That's right.
last week. It was awesome. Your facility is really great.
I must have missed you, because I was there early, and then I had to leave right before they cut the ribbon, because I had another appointment, but I
I
didn't.
was late.
You were late.
Missed the ribbon.
Okay, good. I thought it was me. I'm sad I'll be
But
away in
I have to
June.
say, it was a perfect day. The weather was so perfect for that event. It was like awesome. So, yeah, okay.
I'm usually my biggest critique, and I don't think there's anything I would change about that day. Maybe just starting the national anthem like 30 seconds sooner, because the flyover came literally after she stopped singing, so it was pretty much almost coordinated perfect, but, can't coordinate perfect every time, so. Yeah.
All right, that's
It was a
great.
good day. I love Buzzard Bears, so I'm proud to be not only a home resident here, but also to be able to serve veterans in our community, and hopefully everything that we have planned is gonna, benefit our community, so that's what we're here for.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve the one-day liquor license in relation to the Fishing for the Mission 22 Annual Black Sea Bass Tournament at Buzzards Bay Park on June 2nd, 2024,
As conditioned by departments.
as conditioned by departments?
So move.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, abstentions? It's unanimous, you're good to go.
Thank you guys so much, I appreciate it, you guys have been great to us, I hope to see a couple, anyone that can make it Sunday just to hear some music or get some vending, let me be happy to have you there, so I really appreciate it.
All right, great,
Thank
thank you. Next is discussion and possible vote to allow a one-day liquor license for St. Margaret's Church for a parish fundraising dinner on May 18th, as conditioned by departments. Anyone here from St. Margaret's Church?
They do this every year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is an annual thing.
Is there a reason why this is not on this separate? There must be something different. Oh, is it because it's a liquor license?
Liquor license.
It's a liquor
yeah.
license. We don't do
Okay.
those
As consent?
as consent.
Okay.
So I make a motion to allow a one-day liquor license for St. Margaret's Church for a parish fundraiser dinner on May 18th, as conditioned by departments.
Second.
Motion by Melissa, second by Anne Marie. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Okay, moving right along. Next is discussion of possible vote to issue an annual entertainment license for Oplasis located at 125 Main Street, Buzzards Bay, as conditioned by departments. Lauren, welcome.
Good
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Lauren DiGregorio of O Places on Main Street, Buzzards Bay. I have opened a collaborative art studio and music lounge along with a facility to run Bourne Youth Council nonprofit. I have been a huge part of the community where children and families are involved, and I really wanted to just kind of establish a place in the town where we could continue that, especially having the access to the park right across the street. So I appreciate you taking the time to consider us having an entertainment license. We have an art bar inside. We have a small music lounge. We're collaborating with Music of the Bay so that when kids are not taking lessons, they have a place to meet their friends and engage in music. And this is my husband, Brian. He is going to be helping run the music lounge for me. He also had a very integral part in the town, helping run Cub Scouts for many years. So we just kind of want to bring all of those skills into one place and collaborate with others in the community.
Thank you. So the hours, looks like you have hours set as, let me go through this.
Non-live, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
So the live is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Thursday and Friday, 5 to 9, and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And the non-live entertainment, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So no Sunday.
Sunday, we generally have our family day. I just wanted to clarify, the non-entertainment was really just playing like a speaker off of my phone. That was the Monday through Sunday. I'm not sure, does that?
Not, it just says non-live
It just says
entertainment,
non-live.
so-
It just
That's what I
says
was
TVs,
assuming.
light show,
Recorded
recorded music, CD play.
TVs, other,
Yeah.
yeah,
Radio.
yeah, that's what the non-live.
So karaoke is always available.
Yeah. Yeah, 3-inch TVs, jukebox playing conversation level, indoors, 2 20-inch TVs, outdoors? You have outdoor TVs?
There's
too?
nothing
There's no
outdoors.
Okay. Okay,
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the annual entertainment license for All Places at 125 Main Street, Buzzards Bay, as conditioned by all town departments.
is there a second?
Seconded?
Go ahead, Jared, you're only on.
You
for-
defer.
I'm gonna defer.
Is there any further discussion?
No.
Right, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed, abstentions? It's
Thank you
unanimous.
so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, good luck, have fun. Okay, discussion accepting Peace Pole as a gift to the town of Bourne from Rotary International.
Good evening. My name is Beth Griffin, and I've lived in this town for 55 years and have worked here for 40. And so I hope that speaks to my love and commitment to this town. But tonight I'm here as a member of the Rotary Club of Bourne Sandwich. And just to let you know about the Rotary Club of Bourne Sandwich, it has been active for 70 years in the towns of Bourne and Sandwich. They meet weekly. And in its early days, the Rotary Club met at the Bourne Mill Restaurant, so to take you back some years. And for the past 30 years, it's met at Upper Cape Tax School. But what is Rotary? Rotary is a global network of over 40,000 clubs with 1.4 million volunteers who are committed to creating lasting change in their communities and across the globe. Rotarians are volunteers who dedicate their time to tackle the world's most pressing issues at both local and international levels, from helping families in need in our community, disease prevention, water and sanitation, basic education and literacy, and promoting peace all over the world. We are here seeking approval to donate and install 2 peace poles in the town of Bourne. A peace pole is an internationally recognized symbol of the hopes and dreams for the entire human family, standing and stating the message, "May peace prevail on earth." We have provided each of you with a package which gives you a detailed description. Before I go on, I'd like to personally thank Melissa Ferretti for her insistence in getting approval from the WLRP to authorize the use of the Wampanoag language and the translation to put it on the peace pole, and to MJ for just guiding me through the process to get here and do this. And I want to thank all of you for your time in considering this peace pole donation from Rotary Club of Bourne Sandwich. I'm here with another member from our club, and we are available to address any questions or concerns that you may have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, concerns? So, you're planning on putting one at the Buzzards Bay Park, right, and one at the library, and you're gonna meet with the trustees on that, so we could potentially, accept a donation contingent on approval of the trustees, so they don't have to come back to us for the donation, so when they accept a donation, it has to come to us, so maybe we can do it as a
Right.
one-step process continuing, contingent on their approval.
What are the responsibilities of the town departments for this? Any?
Not real, I mean, it'll become property of the park, so we'll,
Maintain?
we'll maintain it like the rest of the park grounds.
Okay.
And you're gonna purchase the peace poles, right, and have them delivered to the town, and the plaque will be delivered, and then DPW will install them. And what the select board is doing is accepting a donation from the Rotary Club for the 2 peace poles and the engraved granite stone plaque donated by Rotary Club of Bourne Sandwich 2024.
We had planned to install it, but if the town wants to install it,
I guess it comes with a bag of cement, and you just put it in, but whatever works best for the town.
We would prefer to install it.
Certainly,
yeah.
certainly. Hey, one of those lists of things I can check off, so we appreciate
Just
it.
cross it right off. Don't even-
Yes, yes, absolutely.
MJ,
Yes.
my only question for implementation is, does the board want to specify the exact location within the park?
Did the Rotary have a specific location when they looked at the park?
Yes, we have, and I know in the town of Sandwich, they have gone with other Rotarians and actually walked that area. So if that is something that we could possibly do, so that everybody gets a consensus of where people want it, I think that would be an awesome idea for us to pursue.
Yeah, so what we usually do with benches is we have you request the location, and it's subject to the approval of DPW that that's a suitable location. If there's irrigation underground or sprinklers or whatever, so that's, you want it to be in a visible place, but we also want it not to interfere with whatever we have else going in the park.
So will DPW and Rotary will coordinate the final placement in the park?
Okay.
So who would I wait to hear from them?
I'll connect you.
Okay, perfect, perfect.
Okay,
And
so,
It says here there's a plaque with the inscription, donated by the Bourne's, Rotary Club Bourne Sandwich 2024. Is there any way you can put a QR code on there as well? And the only reason I'm asking is when people walk up to the pole, if they see something, they want more information about it, they can just scan it with their cell phone and it tells you more history about it.
Peter, on the thing right here, on the second page, there's a line item here for the QR code for Rotary Peace
Okay.
Pole Project information.
Yep.
And that, I just found out, All it is, I guess, is you can download a free QR code. And I download it as a PDF, and I can actually send it to the Peace Pole project people, and they can actually put it on the Peace Pole themselves.
Okay.
There you go.
That's a great idea, so yeah, that's
Yeah,
what.
I mean,
Okay.
we have to be careful, we have to be careful about making sure that the peace poll is public speech of the town of Bourne, and it's our speech and not speech of the Rotary.
Understood.
So if they can,
But
if
if
it's acceptable with a town council to have the QR code for the peace poll project on the poll,
Yes, if it
Subject
comes,
to approval of town council.
if it comes like printed on the actual poll, then you're accepting that as part of your gift, that is fine.
okay, not on the plaque,
Not-
on the
Not a
poll.
plaque,
Yeah.
right, yep, yep.
But somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, no, I put it,
It's fine.
Okay. And so, so are you doing the solar light? Is that included here? You have the
Yes.
Braille plaque,
Yes.
QR code for Rotary Peace Project, information, so.
Yep.
Is that for Rotary Peace Project information?
I'm sorry. could
Is
you
that
repeat The QR code.
Rotary Peace Project information, or is it just about the peace poll?
It's Rotary's Peace Pole Project.
So all the peace polls that are going everywhere, it's explaining the whole,
Yeah, but not all peace polls are Rotary peace polls.
Correct.
Right.
Correct,
so it's all the Rotary peace polls.
correct.
We may need to have that approved by town council, just to
I'll
make sure.
ju-
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll call town council in the morning. If the QR code is a issue, I'll give you a call.
Perfect, perfect.
Okay, all right,
So that we can give you whatever you need,
Yeah.
right.
because it's a custom engraving.
Yeah, it's good. We just have to make sure that it's our
I get it.
speech.
We understand.
Thank you for the donation, so we can
Thank
make the
you.
speech.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Been here once before, okay.
All right. So we have a motion to accept the donation of 2 peace poles from the Rotary as described, subject to town council review and contingent on the approval of the library trustees for the pole that's going to the library.
So move.
Second,
Motion by Peter, second by Anne Marie. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed, abstentions? It's unanimous.
Yay.
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you.
And, you know, I don't know if we're gonna get it here by Race Amity Day, but, you know, if not this year, next year.
Yes, yes, thank you so much.
All right.
Thank
you're welcome.
you.
Thank you for all your work,
you.
and we appreciate the donation.
Oh, we're moving right along tonight.
Don't jinx it.
Russ.
breaking records.
Well, we did start at 6.
We did start at 6, so
Yeah.
like, you know, whatever.
So actually, we're, right on track. Actually, we're running late.
Discussion regarding 11 Main Street gas station tax taking.
Thank you. So briefly, this is a gas station at 11 Main Street that the town has had prior involvement with as a tax-taking claim. And taxes are still in arrears, and it's going through the process of being taken again. Previously, in 2013, the select board chose to vacate the taking, which means not to accept it. And it's Erica and my recommendation that you vacate again and do not pursue taking this property. It is contaminated, and the town there would be a significant burden on the town to, essentially, we would have to try to sell it, and it cannot be used for municipal purposes. So there's really no good reason for you to, no public purpose for you to expend your resources with this. So our recommendation is you vacate the decree again, just like the town chose to do in 2013. And that means you're saying, no, thank you, we're not pursuing it.
Can I ask a question before we have a motion here? If it's contaminated property, how do we get it cleaned up? I mean, is this all part of a whole thing where it's
21E after you find it.
Yeah, it's-
It can be millions.
So.
It's a lot of money.
There was an old self-serve gas station on
We'd
that
have to
corner
take
over
it
there.
first
You
to
don't know
clean
what's
it.
underneath the ground.
No, I don't want us to clean it,
No.
but, so it's tax title, so is there an owner who's just not paying taxes?
Yeah, so.
And is there something that can happen to have land property cleaned up? I mean,
The state can. The state could if
Okay.
they chose to enforce it or to pursue it. I don't think we as the town have that authority. The state does, DEP does.
okay,
Well, it says here that the two record owners are deceased, and the
There's other
heir,
heirs.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
heirs
there's
are
other
alive. But if the heirs refuse to accept the property, saying I don't want it,
It-
and then it goes away, and the heirs don't want it, there's no one there to go after. If they refuse to give, during probate.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much trying to force it to be cleaned up would be a hard legal battle.
we could write a letter to the DEP that says that they should do it. Okay, I was just asking if there was a process, and DEP is the process, and they're the ones that would have to do it, or, okay.
Order it, yeah.
Okay, so do you want a motion for us to do
Yes,
this?
yes. So if you, there's an example of the certificate of vote from 2013. So pretty much, we'll fill in all of the citations for the case. But pretty much what I'm asking the board to do is vote to vacate
Vacate
the decree for 11 Main Street.
Motion to vacate decree for 11 Main Street, Buzzards Bay, Mass. Map 11, parcel 23.1.
Second.
Motion by Peter, second by Anne Marie. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, abstentions? It's unanimous. Okay. Next is minutes. We have the minutes of April 16th, 2024. It looks like everyone was here.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Peter, second by Anne Marie. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions? It's unanimous. Then we have the minutes of April 30th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of April 30th,
Second.
2024.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions? It's unanimous.
And we're back to you.
Town Administrator's Report.
Thank you. Just a couple of items tonight. First, an update on beach testing before the start of summer. 18 beaches will be sampled for water quality, and testing will begin on June 5th. Samples will be drawn weekly on Wednesday through Labor Day. The official opening of beach season will be on June 10th, which is 5 days after the first water quality test is conducted. Monument Beach is a variance beach approved by DPH and the Board of Health. It is only required to be sampled once a month due to a long-standing clean history of sampling. Secondly, so far in 2024, ISWAM has diverted 5.12 tons of food waste from the landfill this year. And then two local road project updates. Work at Main Street and Academy Drive intersection began this week. The work will generally be performed between 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. police officers and/or flaggers will be in the area. Detours are not anticipated to be necessary, but if that changes, information will be shared by the police department in advance. And finally, the North Sagamore Water District has resumed their work on Phillips Road and Bradford Road in order to complete their water main replacement project. There will be milling and paving during the day, and lanes may be restricted during certain times. Thank you.
Committee reports.
Affordable Housing Trust is tomorrow, but it's the same time as the marijuana workshop, so we'll be
I went to the Cape and Islands Municipal Leaders Association meeting on Friday morning. I think you were on it for a
I was
while.
via Zoom.
And Aaron Perry did a really good presentation on CEDS, C-E-D-S, which is the designation, the Cape has a specific designation for economic development that allows us to apply for some grants that we wouldn't necessarily have. It was a really good presentation, and I just thought I'd mention that. I'm trying to think. I feel like I've been to a million meetings lately, and I went to the open house for the bridges yesterday. It was very informative. I really liked it. There was a lot of being able to have the discussion and having the staff there that could walk you through discussion was very good. So I thought that was a very good thing. And then last week on Wednesday afternoon, I went to the Joint Base Cape Cod
Mass development.
Mass Development open house, and that was very informative also. And I did encourage them to enhance local involvement so that we can really understand the implications of what's happening here, because I think there's a lot happening, and it'll be important for us to be involved.
And they did a good job with the Bridges meeting, for sure, yesterday.
Yeah.
I thought they had, it was good. They had the actual TV screens that showed virtual,
They
images.
just moved too fast.
I mean,
They
I
were like,
think,
they
you
moved
know,
too fast. But
There are gonna be some impacts because of it. That's the sad part, and it's gonna be
Yeah.
a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of complaining and a lot of things are gonna come from it, but it's necessary. So it's kind of like bittersweet to see it, right? Because you're like, some people
they're
are going to
further
be
away in
affected,
this.
so that kind of makes me sad.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, well, it would be really nice to have the new bridges.
Yeah, in the
right?
long run, the need is greater than the.
That's what I took from it.
Yeah. There was an interesting, on the south of the Bourne Bridge, they have this frontage road that has Cumberland Farms on it, the Bourne Nickerson Funeral Home, and then the two car dealerships. And then it kind of like had this thing to go back. And there were a lot of people when I was there that were talking about it would be important to have that connect to 28, so people didn't have to go back, that it could be a full. So I think that's one of the things that people can say, this is really important. This would be really bad if we couldn't, keep going. So I think that's one of the things that they really incorporated the last time, and it's really helpful for them to hear it from people and and to have those designers talking to us about why they made the decisions that they did. So it's
I
very
didn't
good.
steal their books this time.
Yeah. I didn't either. One thing I did talk about, I had read about someone who was advocating
too
for handicap fishing platforms and old bridge platforms. And they said they weren't gonna be able to do that because they're out in the water.
Yeah.
But the new bridge platforms, they're putting right on the edge, and he said they are looking at being able to create handicapped accessible fishing platforms right under the bridges. So that would be really a phenomenal
under
thing.
the bridges, yes.
Yeah, right on the platforms
Yeah.
underneath.
Yeah.
And they actually, there was one picture on the back wall, and they had showed people like standing there, like with the fence around, and so they said that they were gonna try to be able to incorporate that, so I thought that was cool.
Sorry.
All
I
right.
didn't do that. That wasn't on purpose.
Correspondence?
Sure, Select Board Correspondence, May 14th, 2024. A, DEP letter referencing PFAS at tanker truck rollover sites. B, DEP letter, Central Impact Area Environmental Monitoring. C, DEP letter, J3 Range Environmental Monitoring. D, Eversource 45-day yearly operational plan. E, letter referencing Joint Base Cape Cod Gun Range. And F, public meeting here details for JOG.
The gun range, is that Andrew Gottlieb's APCC that are about, yeah, we might want to talk about that in the future. Okay. Future agenda items? We have a lot going on.
Yeah.
We have, I'll send out an updated tracker because we've been sort of moving things in different places. And we started out with not much happening on the 28th of May, but there's more happening on the 28th of May.
Stand by to stand by.
Yeah. All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded?
Well, Jared, you second. Get them all. Deferring all of them tonight.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.